we're doing pretty good. I want to thank all of you for coming to the first in the Immersive Arts Alliance's Salon series. So tonight we're in conversation with Danielle Baskin. I am excited to be in conversation with her tonight and learn more about her artistic practice. But first, I want to say a few hellos and a few words of thanks. Obviously, thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for supporting us with your time and also donating and purchasing tickets. We are a nonprofit, which means that we rely on your patronage in order to make this work. And also, because we're a nonprofit, everyone here is donating their time tonight. And what that means is that what you spend on tickets goes directly to our artists and supporting our functions. Obviously, also, we are a nonprofit. We would love your support. We are just getting started. And so if you are excited about what we're doing here and you want to make more of these events possible, come talk to me afterwards. Other words of thanks, I would love to thank Clark Suprinowitz. Clark, where are you? Clark is our executive director. He has founded IAA. He makes all of this possible. If you are excited about what we're doing, you should definitely talk to him. Yet, he's not your executive director yet. I also want to thank our volunteers. We have Sterling Bishop, Maddie Freed, David Kaplan, Divya Rachakonda, Sophie, I don't remember Sophie's last name, gotta be honest, and Vincent Woo, who are all making this possible. All of our volunteers are also immersive artists in their own right, so please say hello, talk to them about their work. Next, thank you, Absinthia's Absinthe. You should have some, it's really good. And they are donating and sponsoring some of the event tonight. And last, thank you to The Secret Alley, which is where we are tonight. This magical place is a private co-working space that has kindly allowed us to come into their space tonight. It's wonderful to explore. So at intermission and after the event, you are welcome to take a look around this floor of the building. You'll notice that there are several different offices, but also there is a wonderful arcade that you are welcome to play games in. If you like the arcade, you can actually become a member of it. For $35 a month, you can join, which means you can come here and play games and be engaged in the community. And obviously, last but not least, thank you to Danielle, who has kindly chosen to come here tonight and tell us about all of her wonderful work. So immersive art encompasses many mediums and has many definitions, but a unifying feature of the genre's different form is the agency of the audience. Whether you're attending a piece of immersive theater like Sleep No More, puzzling your way out of an escape room, or exploring virtual reality, your active participation is required to experience the piece. Danielle's work fully embodies this aspect of the genre. Her pieces, which often explore the culture of technical innovation, place audience members in the role of the consumer of new products in an alternate but completely plausible reality. In the past decade, she has created over a dozen companies selling everything from venture capitalist trading cards, sweaters for your drone, help quitting your job, fruit branded with your company's logo, and masks made to look like your own face. Along with these novel innovations, she also produces unique events. Oracle Open World, a conference for prophets and soothsayers that takes place on site at the annual tech conference of the same name, is due for its 5th year. LineCon, a symposium that takes place in the queues of popular local destinations, has been produced in both San Francisco and New York. And Bart Basel, an art festival that takes place on the platforms of our public transportation system, drew hundreds of participants and attendees in December. Whether she is asking you to purchase a product, employ a service, or attend a conference, Danielle always gives you the opportunity to engage. What separates her work from many other immersive pieces is that while most immersive experiences create alternate realities by asking their audience to suspend their disbelief and enter into a constructed container, Danielle instead creates inventions that expand the possibility space of our existing reality. all the world is her stage and we are all her players. The difference between what of her work remains imaginary and what becomes real is only a matter of her own will and her audiences. With that, I'm so delighted that she's made tonight reality by accepting our invitation. Please welcome to the stage the one and only Danielle Baskin.
Hello, everyone.
So I want to talk to you about so many things tonight.
Yes.
But before we start talking about your work, I would love to know a little bit more about where we are.
Wait, one sec. Are the slides playing?
Yeah. Every 15 seconds.
Oh, okay, great. That was a long 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Back to here.
Yeah. Where are we today?
Oh yeah. Okay. So Secret Alley has been emerging and manifesting into this cool space since 2005. And it is a co-working space. So all of the little offices that you can see are, people's, studios for a variety of business and art. Everything from, there's DJs at BFF-FM, a radio station right behind you. I think they're actually live right now, but they have good soundproofing. There's, video editors, accountants, sculptors. And I have a little studio space upstairs where I work with Caroline on Moonlight, which is my virtual tarot platform. And yeah, it's always changing and evolving. There's always more plants being added and new rooms. And I encourage everyone to open the Rolodex if you can find it.
That's great. And how long have you been here? What drew you here?
There was a rare opening. Actually, there's now 3 openings if anyone's interested in in renting a little phone booth upstairs. But I wanted to get out of my house and be elsewhere, and this space is really magical. I've been to lots of nice events here, and it's a great community. So,
okay, great. So I want to talk about your work, and I think first, I want to start from high above, kind of the breadth of it. So whether you are offering new technologies or poking fun at tech culture, most of your work focuses on emerging technologies. What draws you to that topic? Why do you keep coming back to it?
Yeah. I think, I like to play with whatever the newest technology is and then imagine what's possible and also invent new technology. Emerging technologies, I guess, when I got a smartphone, I was already scheming apps. I schemed stuff when, ChatGPT 2 came out. And yeah, actually just being on the internet when I was 6, I was scheming of ways to interact with strangers and stuff. Wow. So I don't know, things that open up new portals. I'm like, oh, how can I play and create little magical worlds within it?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember reading an article about you in the New York Times that came out many years ago. I think you were running about 6 companies. And I was struck even then that the article mentioned that you were using all of these things that at the time were new features.
Payment
processing, drop shipping, delivery. And it just seemed like you were tremendously savvy with what technologies were emerging and how to leverage them. So where do you spend time? How do you find out about this? Where are you spending time on the internet?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, there wasn't social media. How did I know that I could, go beyond PayPal and use Stripe? Wow, how do I answer this? I just talk to people. Okay. It's kind of you get fragments of knowledge if you just talk to anyone. Everyone contains secrets about what's new in the world.
Okay, so you're not checking...
It's not even knowing who the right person is. Just kind of talk to anyone.
Okay. So you're not, on
what am I
product
checking?
hunt. Every day.
I actually spend a lot of time on Craigslist, which is not a good way to find out about it. It's a good way to find about the past, about things from 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Reddit, Twitter, but word of mouth is stronger.
Huh?
And I've always been interested in crashing conferences too. So like that's how I found out about stuff too.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a ton
I crashed tech conferences like before I like did stuff with technology.
What was the first tech conference you crashed?
Well, I had this joke about cloud storage, which we'll get a slide for later. But I wanted to make this was like the cloud isn't funny anymore. But if you can remember when the idea of the cloud was new, like we can store anything in the cloud. This is very like 2010 humor. This is no reaction now. But I thought I should make a giant cloud that you can store physical things in. So I made this optical illusion of a cloud that's made of planes of plexiglass that's like scratched away in the middle, and you can like use it as a file folder. And I made one, and I was like, well, I gotta find a cloud conference and say I'm a cloud storage provider. And so I like made a bunch of them and then crashed like I think the Amazon what was it called? Amazon Web Services then? I don't know. I found a cloud conference and walked in with a suitcase of clouds, and I was like, your cloud storage unit doesn't look as cool as this one. Like, what can you store a business card in yours? And then but I did meet through that. Like I just met random people there that fragments of knowledge.
Okay. How old were you at the time? Just
how old am I now? I was 22.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's
great.
great.
I don't know how old I was.
That's great. No, I was excited to go to bars when I was 22. So the cloud conference.
There were drinks there too.
Yeah. So as you're kind of assembling these tidbits of knowledge and exploring, novel innovations, one of the things I love about your work and what I think contributes a lot to the virality of your work is that you're so good at hitting what is in the zeitgeist in the moment. And so where do you find that inspiration, and how, when you're thinking about pieces, how do you know like, that's going to hit, people are interested in this right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think with some of my more viral pieces, like my mess that look like people's faces, I was just hyper aware that people were talking about the pandemic possibly coming to the US. Like I thought of that kind of before we went into lockdown and stuff. And that's, a mix of the internet and real life conversations. But you can kind of just like tell what topics are emerging, right? Mm-hmm. And like know what people are afraid of or what's about to happen, and sort of like make up, hypotheticals and then see if people react to it.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a piece that you were kind of surprised went viral?
Yeah. I'm surprised by which things go viral. I think my most viral thing is a pie I made, and I'm not a baker, so like that's random.
Interesting.
But it was actually the reason why my pie went viral that looked like an Ouroboros is because Wheel of Time had just come out. Like I wasn't aware of this. It was zeitgeisty without me realizing it. The Wheel of Time logo is an Ouroboros.
Interesting.
And that was trending at the time. And it was also Thanksgiving and the combination. So it's like usually zeitgeist related, but I'm not always aware of what's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So we're looking actually right now at an assembly line of Pokeballs.
This accidentally went viral, actually.
Yeah, I would love to hear. So I actually remember, I think we knew each other at the time, and you had made one of these. And then suddenly a lot of people wanted them.
Yes.
Which I think is a common experience in your work, is that you'll create a concept of a piece and then more people want it than maybe was initially anticipated. Yeah. How do you cope with having to massively scale something from a piece of concept art to a real business in real time?
Yeah, I mean, making one of something is different than making 10 of something versus making 10,000 of the same thing, and you have to totally change the process. With the Pokeballs, I was kind of screwed. I had no idea how to accommodate 2,000 orders when I had intended to only, make 50 of them. Mm-hmm. But I just had to figure it out. I mean, I think at first, like, I cry. And I'm like, why did I do this to myself? And then I'm like, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I can refund everyone's money. It's not a big deal. But I think I sort of figured out like a really kludgy way to make them. The first 10 were easy because I just kind of figured it out by like how to carve the plastic, how to paint the inside of a Christmas ornament, glue a battery in place, like do the product photography, make it seem like it's a large business. Did all that. I really thought I'd sell 100 and not like thousands of them. And then once I figured out how to possibly scale, I had to form a whole assembly line and hire people. And I remember like they were starting at 9 a.m. and I was like there at 8 a.m. setting up all the stations. I was like, I have no idea if this will work. Like I have no idea how like the dexterity, like how will people manipulate the keychains. We'll just have to improvise it. But I think it's just constantly like seeing how things are going and then figuring out like how can I change it a little.
Yeah. And how many of those did they sell before you were told to stop?
Well, this is being recorded. So
never mind. Okay,
let's not say who they is either.
Okay, we're just gonna move away from that one. So there's
a lot.
Yeah. I think that there was a similar moment that you had with Branded Fruit,
yes.
Which is, a company in which companies can order conference swag or promotional material by slapping their logo onto fruit.
Yeah.
Variety of fruit.
Started with avocados and then expanded to clementines, bananas.
Yeah. And
garlic.
I would love to hear a bit about the story of how that turned from concept art into a fairly advanced company. Because it seems like it kind of came as a surprise a bit.
Yeah, I originally put a logo on an avocado as a gift for a friend because she really likes avocados. Actually, some of my ideas are like just gift ideas for people that then become a thing for others. So I brought avocados with the WordPress logo to a barbecue, and I just saw so many people taking pictures of avocados with logos. And I knew how to put logos on things just because I was doing it for other businesses and like props design and stuff. But I, just saw people taking pictures of it and I was like, wow, this is a swag item that gets attention. This could be a thing. And then I sort of sat on the idea because there seemed like no urgency to like make a website for branded avocados. But I did present it at the Stupid Ideas Hackathon in San Francisco because I still thought it was silly. It was sort of like a very California parody of, avocado obsession and like just corporate swag obsession. And from presenting it at the Stupid Ideas Hackathon, which is a wonderful event where the goal is to make something that is useless, I actually got orders from people that wanted this at their company. And my first order was Salesforce that wanted 500 avocados. Didn't know how to do that, kind of figured it out. I actually, called up avocado farms and got a delivery. Made an assembly line. And then from there, I decided to expand to other fruits and bought the domain name brandedfruit.com. But no one knew about it until I tipped a Fast Company journalist when she wrote about how wasteful the swag industry is because of all the plastic being used. I emailed her and said, it was like a one sentence, jokey email. I was like, that's why people should only put their logo on avocados. And then she wanted to interview me, and she wrote an article about how branded fruit was the hottest trend in Silicon Valley. Because headlines are important. And it wasn't quite a trend. I had a few orders. And then I didn't even know the article went live. My phone just started ringing. I had a separate phone number for Branded Fruit just in case. And my phone just started ringing beginning at 6 a.m. And I was just so confused. And I got 100 inquiries that day. And it was just really clear that would be my job for a whole year. And I actually flew to China 3 days later to design a fruit printing machine. figured stuff out.
Do you still have the fruit printing machine? Is that
but I ended up I ended up using a different method that then multiple people could do simultaneously. Like robots aren't always a good solution for manufacturing, but I loved flying to China to design this thing. And yes, it's taking up a lot of space in my home.
Okay.
But yeah, there's like lots of different methods that we sort of developed over the time working on it. The business lasted up until the pandemic when conferences kind of started to not happen.
Okay, so now that conferences are back, is Branded Fruit still taking orders?
I get inquiries all the time, but I respond to none of them because I have moved on. And I could sell the company. If anyone wants to buy a company, like I could sell it. I have better ideas that I think are more worth time and attention. But yes, I get lots of inquiries.
That's great. That brings me to my next question, which is, I think that in the last decade, you've created at least a dozen businesses that you can have saleable products attached to them. How many of those are still in operation, where you will fulfill an order? When do you know to retire a business? Are there things that seem like you could have had a business but you were like, nah, I don't want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, all of them right now are postponed except for Moonlight, because that's like the most important thing to me. There's smallish companies. Like if someone wants to order a stained glass window, what happens is, or a giant cover letter with things that are sort of one-off fabrications that I could just kind of do at home. I will just say like, can you wait 3 months to receive it? And they're usually okay with it. And I'll have like production day. And I'll do things in batches. So yeah, with like stained glass windows or with, something like a giant cover letter or like a tapestry of available domain names or other sorts of, recruiter spam, other sorts of like little objects that I can make. I'm just slow at shipping them out. But those are kind of like smaller gifts. With the larger things, I mean, yes, with Branded Fruit and other sorts of like inquiries, even for like the masks, I just like don't run those businesses anymore.
Okay.
There's only so many you can do.
Okay, so we've talked about kind of what happens, what often happens when something becomes real. You start with a concept and it manifests into a real company. I know that there are some other kind of real world implications to your work. We've already talked about, you satirize specific companies, and so I'm talking about things like cease and desist letters. What are some of the outcomes of especially engaging in satire around specific companies or conferences and places that you weren't invited to? What are some of the consequences your work sometimes invites?
Yes, definitely got escorted out of Moscone like 4 times. And like Oracle's lawyers reached out to me for, having the domain name oracleopenworld.org, and they have the .com. But yeah, I mean, actually, like it's kind of exciting to get some sort of legal action, because it means your thing seems like large and real and has like kind of spread on the internet. And like I also am not afraid of them because I know which side of the law I'm on. And like I know that I'm doing either parody or satire, or that I am in the right to use a specific image or whatever. So like, and I have lawyers too. Yeah. But it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you have a legal team that defends you, or are you just responding to emails being like, I don't know, I think it's funny. Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the situation. It's I think with satire stuff, like with my recruiter spam, which there's a can of in the back. Spam reached out to me, which is a really funny back and forth with spam. And then other things like Johnson & Johnson for branded Band-Aids. But I actually like I might create some like booklet of my cease and desist because they're kind of entertaining, or like my back and forth with the lawyers because it's kind of entertaining. But yes, I do have the right console for this sort of thing that understands me as an artist.
That's great. It's good to have. Are there pieces that you have wanted to do but have abstained from doing because of similar legal implications? Is there anything that you're like, oh, I might not be on the right side in this, but I would really like to do it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm thinking in particular, I'm thinking about when you turned Google headquarters into a spirit Halloween.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think I'd get in trouble for that.
You did or didn't?
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it was like outdoors and like you have a sign outside, anything can happen to it. It's also cloth. Like I wasn't painting. I wouldn't like deface a logo, but I could cover a logo,
Okay.
It's removable. Actually, everything I do is like safe and removable. Like if it's I've never wheat pasted. I do use removable vinyl, so I'm not actually destroying property.
Okay.
But yeah, are there like brands that I've wanted to mess with that I've stayed away?
Yeah, is there any piece that you've been like, oh, I'd love to do that, but that's probably not a good idea?
I mean, I wouldn't mess with the same brand twice. Actually, one of the strictest legal, a really strong legal team is John Deere, which I did. I heard other stories about John Deere. They're just really quick at removing like anything that uses the John Deere logo, like quickly, and they know how to do it correctly.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah. Otherwise, in general, I'm not really worried about like an email from a corporate lawyer at a brand.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Yeah. So in terms of when I'm thinking about, decisions for what you do and don't put into the world, one of the things I notice is, you're satirizing and commenting a lot on tech culture. And I think a lot, I think a lot about things like Black Mirror, which is interested in similar possibility spaces to how technical innovations could potentially change our life. But of course, Black Mirror is very dark. And one of the things I notice about your pieces is that they talk a lot about tech futurism, but they are pretty much never dystopian. And so they tend to be really playful. Do you have kind of a moral philosophy around what you choose to make comment on, or the types of comments you're trying to make?
Absolutely. Yeah. I do think that generating dystopias can create the dystopia. And so I try to imagine with any sort of thing that I do that if considered true and if considered not a joke, and if this was like stretched to its fullest reality, would I want to live in a world where that thing is true or believable? And so that prevents me from doing things.
Okay.
And encourages me to do some things. I have created whole projects where I was going to release them into the world that were supposed to be satire. And then I'm like, well, I actually don't want this to be a thing, and I don't want that to like be part of my life or also introduce that possibility to people, and so I don't do it. Or if I see that something I have, especially with the branded Band-Aids, while that was supposed to be sort of a joke about the commercialization of the vaccine, and also like just I don't know, I like to turn things into ad space. This is a common like way to play with dystopias, just to like probably other immersive designers have done this, is just slapping logos onto things creates a sense of dystopia, right? But then when I released it into the world, some people thought it was real, and it ended up being shared by anti-vaxxers as a reason not to get the vaccine, which I really didn't think about. I also thought
because they thought it was real. They thought
it was real, and my logic was, well, if Cheerios, for example, like paid for Cheerios ads on the vaccine, that would actually help with rollout costs. Like I just thought maybe that's fine. But they thought like, oh, the vaccine is kind of made up just to give corporations like money, and it's not actually like preventing people from getting COVID. And because it was sort of taken out of the joke context and shared in like Facebook groups, which is a form of like how, like total context collapse and stuff happens in Facebook groups. I like locked my Twitter account, and so like people could stop sharing it. And I also like tried to message people saying it's just a joke. I like changed the whole site, and I was like, I don't want this out there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think the other piece that I think about when I think about real world implications that had less playful consequences is the boulders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this was a piece. Do you want to tell the context of this?
Oh, yes. So some of my neighbors who did not like the fact that some unhoused folks were sleeping in tents near the pet food store, sort of near their house. And it was like near a parking lot. It wasn't right in front of their house. But they still didn't like that it was nearby. They pooled $4,000 together to purchase large garden boulders and just like dumped them in a line across the sidewalk so like no one could put their tent there. And it also made it kind of hard to walk on the sidewalk. And they were pretty like hostile looking, but they were nice rocks, like the rocks themselves. And so I had this idea like, oh, well, someone could use these in their garden. They should be removed from the sidewalk. I also was scheming ways like, oh, how should I like deface them or whatever? And I think I was just like brainstorming ways to remove the boulders. And then I think like probably in conversation with Vincent, and a lot of ideas just happened through conversation. I was like, oh, I should put them on Craigslist. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that as soon as I wake up. I'm going to like go there and make a Craigslist post. So I woke up early, took a picture of them, put them on the Craigslist free section. Saying these are beautiful rocks, we don't need them anymore. Like curbside pickup. Here's the intersection. They'll look beautiful in your garden. And I actually did get inquiries, but the thing that made this go viral is that I took a screenshot of the fact that I did it and put it on Twitter. My Craigslist post got removed really quickly, because a lot of people flagged it. There's lots of people that, want the boulders there. But lots of people were now made aware of the fact that my neighbors did this and actually came to the site. A group of people schemed like a way to rent a truck and try to pick them up. They're super heavy. So they had to get like a truck, and they like had a planning meeting at the Safeway. Anyway, for the next consecutive 3 days, there were people trying to move the boulders out. That would result in the neighbors hiring private security guards, and they put caution tape around the boulders. If you read about this, like the articles are pretty funny
because it got news coverage. Then
it got national news coverage. Just the war between like. It's like none of the things we were doing were like solving, the issue of like not having enough housing for people, but it was sort of a belief that people have the right to, like sleep anywhere versus the neighbors that just don't want to see it. And this went back and forth, moving these boulders, where eventually it became so annoying to keep moving the boulders outside of the street. If you want the city to move anything, put it in the street where it'll obstruct traffic.
Just disappears. Okay.
Yeah, they disappeared. Eventually, yeah.
Okay.
That was a very spontaneous prank.
Yeah, I was about to say so it seems like a lot of your pieces you might chew on and think about for a long time, and some of them just happen immediately.
Yeah.
Do you find do the ones you think about for longer tend to be more successful, more viral, or is it really some days you just have a good idea and the next day it's all over the internet?
I would say it's kind of mixed. I mean, even things that I work on for a long time, I consider the timing of when to reveal it. But with spontaneous stuff, like that is a deep feeling that I need to like put that on the internet within the next few days. So I sort of am aware that it might go viral. And I know that like there's a time window of relevance.
Mm-hmm. When you attempt to make things go viral, I know you have a huge Twitter following. I think you have something like 24,000 followers or something right now. But what are the ways that what are the levers you pull to make that happen?
Nothing. I mean, I just tweet I just do a sentence. I mean, that's it. Like, I actually don't. People are often like, what are, like, teach me the secrets of how to go viral. And it's not like I plan. It's not like I DM people, please retweet this. Maybe I should do that. I think it's more of an outlook. I kind of just don't care about the outcome, and that's how you go viral. It's just like, do what you like, release onto the internet what you want to just like have out there without really thinking much about it. Because if you start thinking about engagement and like how it will emerge and stuff, you've already like set up yourself to be disappointed. And so I also try to keep things simple. I think like with putting stuff on the internet, I do think like, what do I want, how do I want people to play with this? So I kind of like to not include like long stories, so that people can like, I don't know, project themselves into the situation. I don't like to fully explain everything, which is how sometimes things get taken out of context. Like with Blue Check Homes, I said like, we are rolling out Blue Check Homes, which like it was a very matter-of-fact sentence, and people thought it was a legitimate service.
Can you summarize what Blue Check Homes was?
Yeah, which is like not even relevant anymore, because the idea of the blue check has been just has a totally different meaning now, since you could buy it. And yes, but you know, in the in a different internet era, there used to be a thing where you could get a little blue check next to your name. Of course, it's on every social media platform, but on Twitter especially, people like really, it is a deep sense of pride to have a blue check, which means you're like an authentic public figure. It's questionable who should get one and who shouldn't have one. I was, going for a walk, and I noticed that a lot of homes in San Francisco have like this like plaster crest on the house with some symbol. And I was curious about that. I was like, why is this house marked with like, some sort of symbol?
These are older Victorian homes? Correct.
Yes. Yeah, okay. And they're all around us. It's usually like just a stripe or something, but sometimes it's like an owl. There's different symbols. And I just posted on Twitter, like, what do these symbols mean? And someone replied, like, that's the blue check before there was Twitter. It was like, because it was just an image of a stripe. And I was like, wait, I think from that tweet, I was like, wait, what if people could actually get a blue check put on their home? So I quickly bought the domain. This is all within like 2 hours. I bought the domain name bluecheckhomes.com. I photoshopped a bunch of plaster crests with a check. And then I copied word for word Twitter's like criteria for authenticity, but I just like swapped your profile page for the word house. Like I used all their language, which seemed like parody because it described what it meant to be an authentic person. And then I very matter of fact saying like Blue Check Homes is a service where if you are an authentic person, I forgot the exact wording. If you're an authentic, notable person living in the Bay Area and a homeowner, you can get
That's very niche.
That's triggered people. You can get a blue check on your home. And the response, the unexpected reply I got was that a lot of people with blue checks were terrified that people might know that like they could, that it's somehow a sign to break into their home or something like that. I didn't understand that reaction. But there were a lot of different reactions, but also on the site, you could apply to get one. And I got like 800 applicants within a week. I don't know who was trolling and who wasn't. Like, there's no way to know. Because I got like random CEOs in there. And it's like, is that actually them? Or does someone just like know their email address? I formed a Blue Check Homes committee, and we were actually going to interview. I actually went through all the applicants and like put them into different categories of who might be trolling, who might not, who actually, there are a lot of applicants that had just like 10 followers, but were kind of seemed like interesting people. Like I wanted to know why they keep posting online. They're like like nail polish or whatever. I don't know. There's just people have like all these internet personas, and I wanted to interview people, and I still might do that project. I did not get to it, but we did form a committee and look through all these social media accounts. And it ended up on Snopes as being confirmed as not a real service. It could be a real service, you know? Yeah, like I think I'll make one of them, and I won't announce it. It'll just go up, and you'll find it, and you'll know.
I love that. I want to go back to something you said before. It sounds like Blue Check Homes got a lot of engagement. People actually contacted you and said, hey, I want this. But you mentioned before kind of concerns about ways that people might project themselves into projects or insert themselves into it, which seems like a risk when, your pieces become part of reality. So do you have experiences or best practices around when people play too seriously or, want to leverage what you're creating to play their own game? Do people...
if people like troll me back or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I do try to think about like how people would engage with something. I think a lot of that is like before... with like larger ideas or things that I am on the fence about, like I just run it by other people first. I'm not sure how like something will land or if I'm like really, sometimes I'm just really, I'm hesitant to put something on the internet because it just might go awfully. And I just run it by a few friends, like 2 or 3. I don't know, like just see what the reaction is. That's what stuff I'm on the fence about. With other stuff, I still go back to thinking like, if taken out of context, will it be okay? And also I think like, who can this hurt? Like, can this hurt someone? Mm-hmm. And if so, am I okay with that? But I try to have, I do try to have like, my, what's like a D&D alignment chart. Like I sort of have I try to be chaotic good. That's what I go for.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned D&D because I think it's a great sequitur to. I think there's this other category of work you have, and so I know you've done a ton of kind of corporate event conferences, a lot of products, a lot of tech services, but then there's this other genre of your work which is the wizard stuff.
Yeah,
and I just I think it's such an interesting second thing to have because it's there's a lot of tech startups and then there's wizards, and so what's going on there?
Yes,
do you see parallels? Is it just 2 different sets of interests? I'd love if you could list some pieces. I know. I remember there's the Oracle conference. You're working on Moonlight now. There's when you went to Costco during the pandemic and posted a bunch of signs of magical items that they were out of.
Yes. Yeah, I created a world in which like everyone was panic shopping runes and tarot decks and crystals
and battle axes. I remember.
And battle axes instead of just like beans. Oh, it's right there.
Yeah.
Yes. And which people got mad at. Okay, people got mad at me on the internet because they made up a kind of person who would be mad at this. Like they said that I'd be annoying to people that work at Costco, but I got so many messages from people that work at Costco saying, "Oh my God, this is so funny." And so like, I also was monitoring. Sometimes when I put work online, people think that I haven't done all my research into what the like after effects will be. Like when I planted spam cans at a grocery store, I was aware, of course, that I can't leave them at the grocery store. You can't like resell bought food. But on the internet, I didn't reveal that I like didn't leave them there. And so I think people often get mad at me being insensitive when I have actually schemed out like the full plan, and including often removing my own pieces and like often talking to employees first. Like when we like did a wedding at Office Max, I don't know if anyone here came to that. Like I talked to the Office Max employees Anyway. Anyway, back to magic stuff.
Yeah, back to the wizards.
I don't know. I mean, I've always been into like different divination techniques. I have been just using tarot in my life, and that also, like, tarot has helped me think of projects and stuff. Like, it's exploring different possibility spaces, it's exploring possible reactions to things, but that's been part of my life for like 14 years. I've also just really liked the archetype of a wizard and sort of feel like, you know, creating even like jokes, pranks, objects, like whimsical inventions, whatever, feel really wizard-like. So that is, you know, naturally I also have wizard projects. And I'm also interested, like, I think the reason why I did Oracle Open World is like I moved to San Francisco and saw like this giant word oracle, and I just thought like, wow, that's like the oracles are coming. I just wanted that to be reality. And so sometimes when I like wish that was a thing, I was like, oh, I could put on a conference for that also called Oracle Open World and pretend I don't know what your software product is.
I'm glad you mentioned we are getting back to conferences, because I know you know, you've put on Oracle Open World and LineCon. I'd love to talk about Bart Basil, because I know that you have some plans for us this evening. Can you talk a little bit about that piece? And then I know that, well, I'd love for you to explain what Bart Basil is, how it's gone.
Yeah, so if you know what Art Basel is, which is well, there's still one in like Basel, Switzerland, I think, yes. And then there's also one in Miami, and it's this like, you know, gathering of art galleries, and like, you know, well-known famous artists are there. There's a lot of networking, there's a lot of like art deals happening. It goes in and out of the zeitgeist. It was really in the zeitgeist 2 years ago because NFTs were like a thing there, and there was people upset about that. Just people had opinions, and then there are all these like crypto people going to Art Basel. Anyway, it was just so many people were talking about it, and I was like walking a BART one day, and I just thought to myself, like, as I think of puns, I was like, Art Basel, Bart Basel. That phrase was just in my head, and I didn't know it would be an event at that point. But I did, as now this is you'll see that this is a trend that I ask people things first. And I think when I'm not sure if the idea is funny or if the pun is good, I ask and see. I think I tweeted just like the phrase, Bart Basil. And then like a picture of like the tile at the 24th Street BART. And then I did like a follow-up that's like, what if we like pretended to, you know, dress up like we're gallery owners and present work underground? And that got like enough engagement, and that didn't go viral or anything, but enough people were like, I would go, where I was like, oh, I could like put on this event. And then I like, you know, thought of doing the step and repeat. And like we needed a pedestal. I think the format was kind of improvised in a way. And we've done it twice now. But it actually took place the exact same day as Art Basel in Miami. And we were a traveling art show underground on BART. So we got out at all the different platforms and had a pedestal. Whoa. Oh my God. Thank you for presenting your piece. Wow, that's so cool. So this is what it looks like basically. And I told everyone, because I didn't know what I thought of the idea for the event, but I had no idea what the art would be. Like I figured that out last minute. And so I emailed everyone. I was like, just bring an object that's important to you. Either something that you find fascinating or personally meaningful. And just with that prompt, we got like a huge variety of stuff. I mean, some of it was like art that people had collected. Some of it was handmade things. Some of it was like old artifacts. And there was kind of like a story within each piece. And so it was kind of open mic style. People would present their piece. And then there was like lots of mingling and stuff. I think it, like what was kind of cool about Bart Basel is like, I think being part of like sort of the LARPing element and like the openness for people to pretend to be either gallerists or artists or whatever, mixed with people actually being artists, just like created all kinds of interesting conversations. And so I think people met new friends at Art Basel.
Well,
Art Basel.
Yes. So I'm glad you have explained that, because that has, I believe that is bringing us to the interactive portion of the evening. Is that correct?
Yes.
Danielle has a plan for us.
Yes. So, this won't be like the big Art Basel, the annual one that happens, but we're going to do like a mini example of how you can improvise an art show on the spot. This will be, everyone brought like some object here, right? Like either a wallet or like a backpack with something. And if you have a wallet, there's things within your wallet. Maybe you have like someone's old business card or like a coin. I don't know. Everyone just has something. Reach into your pockets. Whatever is the most interesting thing you can find on you. It could be something you're wearing too. I want you, if it's possible, if you're sitting next, it could be someone you know, or if you're sitting next to someone you don't know or turn behind you, I want you to talk about why that thing is important to you. And so we'll do like 2 minutes per person.
Yeah. How many? I mean, we're gonna the audience talks for 3 minutes among themselves.
Yes. Okay. You have 3 minutes and take turns talking about why that. Just tell a story about it. Like, why is that thing important to you, and why do you have it? Any anecdote.
Go for it. Okay, everyone, that is 3 minutes. So we're going to have you wrap up. We're going to give you one more, but start wrapping up. Yeah. Okay. We're going to have you wrap up conversations. I know it's
All
hard.
right.
I know you
can
want to keep
also
talking.
talk to each other.
Yeah, you can tell. So we're about to break for intermission.
Okay.
So
all right.
we're going to have people
So what? So.
just
right.
start talking. Attention. There we go. Just start talking.
Okay, so you have now learned a lot about, the artifact of a person near you. And so now we're going to switch to like the art dealer mode. And so we're going to just do 3 presentations, but you are not presenting your own piece. We're doing a twist where whoever you presented to is now your gallery rep. And so now they know like the heart of that thing, like why it's important. They know the story. And so we're going to have the gallery rep come up here and present the piece to the room as though they are at Bart, as though they're on Bart dealing art as one does. So we're going to imagine we're on a train dressed up like art collectors. Who is our first volunteer? You wait.
Noam, step right up.
Yes. Yeah, it's someone else. Wait. And that's someone else.
Noam, come on up first.
Yeah, Noam's coming up.
So this is actually a receipt from an art supply store for a bunch of things. I think primarily the artist went to the store to get canvas stretchers, but also left with a silver pen. And it's kind of both folded and crumpled, so sort of 2 forms of wear that kind of intersect and interact in a variety of ways. But I also think of it more in terms of what it symbolizes. In today's world with crypto and NFTs, oftentimes we've moved away from viewing art as its own, and also even with art trading, like what we're doing right now, we've moved away from viewing art as its own thing for its own benefit, and instead art becomes a sort of commodity to be bought and sold. So instead of thinking of the art piece itself that will still happen, it's actually going to be, I think, ethnic drawings from Ukraine on canvas, but instead you're buying the receipt to prove that capital and funds have gone into the art.
That's great.
A true art patron buys the receipt. Oh, okay. Well, Doc, because you were about to go up.
Come on up.
Also, I know that not everyone will get to present and they want to, so I encourage to present to small groups during the intermission.
Yeah, we're
Sorry.
about to break for intermission, and we would love you to continue to share your art. We're going to have 3 people up here, though.
Okay.
So let's face it, we're all hipsters, but sometimes you don't want to be a hipster, and that is the moment when you get out your Giants hat. That's pretty much the whole pitch. Thank you.
What does it say? SF? Oh, okay. Giants. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Mustafa, come on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, artists and fine specimen in the audience, I have a thing, but it is more than a thing. It's an object. But it's more than an object. It's an item. So what is this? What are we selling? Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Yes, it is a coin. But not just any coin. A challenge coin. Does anyone know what a challenge coin is? So the artist I'm representing, Robert over there. Robert, you want to raise your hand, please? This man has a challenge coin, and if you don't know what this is, so let's say, for example, you're in the military, you're in a unit, and you've fought the good fight, and you respect your fellow soldiers. You give them a challenge coin, so that in the future, one day you'll see them, maybe years later, at an outing, at a bar, wherever. You take out your challenge coin. The challenge is they have to take out their challenge coin. If they have it, that means drinks are on me, let's say. If they don't have it, drinks are on them. And so Robert has something special. It's from the Long Now Foundation, a rare challenge coin. Do I have a buyer? Anyone? Yeah, over there. Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, budding gallerists and agents. I think we're gonna do 3. We're gonna keep it at 3. But if you want to tell people about your art, we're gonna break for about a 10-minute intermission. It's 8:25 right now. We're gonna come back at 8:35. And I know I'm excited to talk to you about what you're working on now, and also some kind of, I know you have some advice for people who are interested in making similar work. And so we're gonna talk for about 20 more minutes, and then be done at about 9. And then you'll have some time to drink that absinthe and say hello. So we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Okay. So in the first part of this talk, I think we covered kind of your work in breadth for the most part. And there's a question I have. If someone is a fan of your work, is following you, as opposed to, what each of your individual pieces is communicating, what do you frequently hope people are learning from, your work as a body, or something that you commonly hope people get out of the particular genre of your pieces?
Totally. Yeah, a lot of the pieces I make are actually kind of like simple to do, even though they might have like, crazy side effects or lead to other projects. It's often just following through with a joke. And so like, I think a sort of encouragement I have for everyone here is like, if you think of some hypothetical situation, even if you feel like, oh, I'm not the person who should do it, or like, I'm not sure if it's legal, or like, or I mean, it should still fit within your ethics system, but whichever alignment you are. But if you are actually break it down and like, oh, well, this could be achieved with simply printing something out on a sheet of paper and sticking it somewhere, or like doing an experiment with like friends, or like whatever, a really simple thing. And if you're like slightly nervous, that's a good sign. But just like try it, because I think that leads to like a lot of, my other projects and larger things, which we'll talk about in a minute, came out of extremely simple jokes and just trying it. So that's like a tidbit of advice. Yes, force yourself to just do an idea. I'm sometimes extremely nervous about doing an idea, or it's not even fun to do. It's not even fun to make, but I'm curious about the side effects from it.
Yeah. So we talked a little about interesting side effects that have happened in pieces. The boulders became this national, it started a minor civil war and then became national news. It also, you've generated some really lucrative companies that become your life for a while. But you also have a few pieces that have created really meaningful and kind of life-changing impacts for people. And I think that I primarily think about Dialup, which is your spontaneous phone service. And I would love to hear a little bit about how that piece started as, a joke, and how it came to transform so many people's lives.
Yeah. I mean, as many pieces start from just like what if conversations with friends. My friend Max, many years ago, had a what if people could get a phone call in the middle of the night and speak into a recorder about what they were dreaming about. Like, so there'd be some like library of dreams. And then he decided to add another person into the mix. Where you would connect with another person in the middle of the night. It was like, its own project. I think he was telling me about it, and I just sort of made this comment like, what if like my phone just rang at any time and I could like connect to a friend? And also technology changed since he had worked on that project, like more advancements with WebRTC, which is like, a way to connect over voice. I think from that we just started playing with like ringing our friends' phones. And it was prankish in a way. Like we had a group of 10 people that were all subscribed to this experiment where our phones would ring at random times. And I seeded it with like different prompts and stuff. So we'd like ask a question in the beginning. And from those experiments, which was, meant to be just like a little playful joke, I thought those conversations were like incredible. Like just when you have without knowing that you're even going to talk to a specific person, your phone just rings and like you're suddenly talking to them. They're like at the post, like in line at the post office or whatever. From that, like I just got glimpses into this thing being like much larger than just a group of 10 people. I thought like, whoa, what if like everyone like just all over the world, their phone was just ringing. We were just like connected to each other. But we didn't have, it was like a web app. We had to figure out like how to actually build this thing. And it was incremental. But it did, we eventually over the course of a year built something called Dialup, which is like an iOS and Android app that when you subscribe to it, it just makes your phone ring. And then if you pick up, you're connected at random to another person who picked up based on topic, but it works all over the world. I actually did experiments. This was an easy thing I did. I just set up a phone number and made this whole display and like put it on a wall and they would just connect to me. Met lots of interesting people in San Francisco. Sometimes people think that they're in a small town, but there's just so many fascinating people here. If you stick your phone number on a window, you'll get like, you'll like understand. Yes, but it slowly spread like word of mouth. It slowly spread. More people, started downloading this app, but then one day it did go viral. Like it, got on Vice, it got New Yorker, it got New York Times, like all the publications, CNN, news publications. So like 60,000 people joined. And then it became truly like you're connected to a straight, like it's all over the world. So thousands of people still use it. But what is wild about it is how impactful, like, the articles at first made it seem like this playful little experiment, right? But the conversations that people have, I mean, the longest conversation that I know of was 11 hours long. They spent the whole day together. People have moved in with each other. People have like broken up with their partners for each other. Outside of romance, lots of friendships too. Lots of, people that become pen pals, people that have like met up in groups with each other. But there's also this ephemeral like beauty of just talking to a stranger about whatever is going on in your life and relating. And it might be something that you haven't revealed to a friend because you suddenly drop your persona and your actor, that whatever you feel like talking about in that moment, you can. And from that, like the conversations just get deep. And I think that has, I do lots of, jokes and stuff that entertain people and, do lots of playful things. But I think like the thousands, like hundreds of thousands of connections that have happened on Dialup, like have been more impactful for people that don't get as much attention on the internet and stuff because those things are not recorded. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Numbers wise, at its peak, how many active users has Dialup had? Do you know how many phone calls you've made?
It was definitely during like the timing. I mean, we thought of it before the pandemic, but like the timing of people like locked at home and then missing talking to strangers, like definitely made the app grow. At its peak, there were like 60,000 users like at the same time. Now it's like, some people have used it every day for 3 years, which is crazy. And I would love to like interview them and do a podcast or something as like a later project. But right now there's like, I don't know, like 3,000 people or something. Huh. I haven't checked, but people still like write in stories and stuff. It's just, I'm not actively working on it.
Right.
But it's still out there for people.
Yeah. And I know Dialup was, as opposed to I know it started as kind of a one-off idea, but it became a company that you were invested in. You were raising money. You had a co-founder.
Yeah.
How long did you spend on that project?
I think that was like 2.5 years of my life. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think. Yeah, there's lots of things. There's lots of playful things that one could do with voice in business. I have moved on to a different thing. But
Yeah.
I think Dialup is like a beautiful project, as is, you know.
Yeah, and I notice, I'm glad you mentioned you've moved on to other things because, so I know that I've noticed that over the course of the time that I've known you, your ideas and your companies, they have gotten bigger in scope. Just in terms of, you know, things have gone viral in the past, but between Branded Fruit and then Maskalike and then Dialup, those all became businesses that were, you know, a year of your life and the bulk of your time. And so I know now you are now launching this really exciting thing called Moonlight, which, you know, it seems like Dialup was a more sincere and less satirical piece ultimately. And it seems like Moonlight is in the same genre of that, kind of a non-satirical, but still
Playful.
interactive,
Yes.
playful,
Yeah.
playful piece. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what that is, what you're excited about, what's up for you next.
Yeah. So Moonlight is a social tarot platform, which actually a lot of it came, like, I've been into tarot for a long time. Also during pandemic, did tarot readings through my window, have lots of experience just walking up to strangers and giving them tarot readings in like the context of Oracle Open World and other stuff. But there was like a topic on Dial-Up for tarot. So like met lots of tarot readers that way. But like tarot on the internet kind of sucks. Lots of people are into tarot, but like a lot of the sites are like weird, like scammy, like they're not made by people into tarot. They're like owned by like strange like psychic hotlines and stuff, which is actually disrespectful to the art of tarot. This is like a lot of negative, attention around it through the internet. A few things like Moonlight's a place to like practice tarot with other people. So there's a slide of it. It's also like launching in 2 weeks, so you can all play with it.
This is moonlight.world.
World. Yes. But it is like multiplayer tarot where you like both can move the same deck like in browser and then connect over video and audio. And there will be lots of like, fun live tarot events and stuff. But also it's like a way to instantly have a deep conversation with anyone. Like instead of Zoom, you could just like meet over tarot cards. But like this is experimental in a way. Lots of there's a clear business need. Like lots of professional tarot readers actually don't want to use Zoom and they want to use this. But a lot of people who are like new to tarot want more practice and learning and like understanding the cards, playing with different decks. And people kind of like want to use tarot in a conversational way. And so this is like a place on the internet. And we'll see like what happens and who ends up using it and like where in the world it spreads. But this is an exciting new thing that I feel like really strongly about existing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that before we move into questions, I know this is going to be the next year, many years of your life. You're focusing a lot on it. I kind of want to talk. Are there pieces that you have in mind that you have not made yet that you want to, or like you might say, oh, I would love to do this, but for the resources, but for a skill? Are there things that you hope that you could make?
Oh yeah, I have a long list. I once had at my old place, my like wall was a dry erase board, and so I had like prank list and then just like a long stream of things and didn't get to all of them. There's many things I want to do. It's kind of with a lot of projects, especially Smashomancy. I had that idea 5 years ago and only did it this summer. So I think with a lot of stuff, like with things that are not connected to the zeitgeist, there's kind of no rush. Oh, Smashomancy is a system where if you break your phone screen and it forms lots of cracks, there is a book that has different regions for all the cracks on phone and then assigns you an archetype based on whether or not it's like clear or has a crack in that region. I developed it with my friend Akiva. and there was supposed to be a whole app, but we decided that wasn't necessary. But there's a book. There's one in the back. We'll put them back online. The book sold out, and we have to make more. But wait, you gotta wait. Anyway, some projects though I have on my list, and I don't like to reveal them in advance for a few reasons. Then no one expects me to do it, and then also because it's fun to just be surprised by something spontaneously existing because I have to be a wizard. But like the timeline, I don't know. It's lower priority than working on Moonlight, which is sort of meta because I use tarot for even like I use tarot and like helping, building a thing that helps people generate ideas just like feels important for then all of the other things to follow.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. I think in a moment we're going to move to audience questions. Is there anything else that you want to say to address the audience about your work, things you hope for about, engaging with your work, making their own if they're interested in this type of thing?
Yeah. I guess I want to remind people that you don't need anyone's blessing to create work. I think sometimes people feel like they need the right container or the right professional affiliations or like specific credentials or just like some organization saying you have the green light to do this and we're providing the container for you, when they're kind of like everything is made up. Like there's definitely there's some things that only make context with an organization, but if you have an idea that doesn't need to fit into like a specific event or party or thing or festival or whatever, and you just want to do something and put it into the world and it won't cost you much money and you have all the resources and it could be scrappy, that you can just do it as long as it is ethical and at least two friends also approve.
Okay.
That's it.
On that encouraging note, we're going to take a few questions and then we're going to move to, the after salon, where we will continue to drink absinthe. Danielle and I will be available. I encourage you to talk to Clark, all of our volunteers. So if you have a question, I'm going to point to people. I'll repeat the question and we're only going to do a few of those and then we'll break. Jim.
So first, it'd be difficult to say too many positive things about your work. Thank you. But as most good social art, over time, as it degrades, it often has a tendency to become a dating site. And I see that's happened in a bunch of your sites. So have you ever considered like having a metadated site, a metadating site that is Danielle Baskin dates, and then you have each of your projects get to live on over time as dating environments?
Oh, like people can use them as dating platforms. I mean, people have started dating from meeting at an event I throw. My dating site idea was that you can date remote and send your drones to meet up with each other and do the thing. And I think I got the site like Wingman. Like I thought of it like Wingman would be a good name for it. So I got like wingman.dating. This was when drones were more funny. Drones aren't fun. But I can. I don't want to be. I don't want to be responsible for dating.
Other questions?
You should discuss dating app ideas, though.
I'm curious, like both philosophically and practically, how you balance your like art and business.
Yeah.
As somebody who's like living in both worlds, and also in like one of the most expensive cities in the world.
Mm-hmm.
How are you thinking about, like, how are you plotting your moves? How are you thinking about what is art and what is rent?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I don't always apply capitalism to every project. Sometimes I only sell some things because people want it, not because I want to make money, right? Like for like the one-off smaller things. But then sometimes, sometimes I'm aware of like the market, I'm aware that it's a large business. I think with like branded fruit, it was really clear that like corporations buy swag and have a swag budget. And like, I didn't feel weird about that. I think with like some other businesses, it feels weird to suddenly like apply money to it. I have like in the past have like juggled different things at the same time. Some things like didn't make much money, but then I would sort of like switch over. Like, we didn't talk about this at all, but I used to have a business like do hand painting bicycle helmets, which then I started manufacturing helmets and doing it for like, you know, like logos on helmets and stuff like that. But I've always like figured out how to do both like a turn an art thing into a business and then also do art on the side. I think now I have like I have a clear business model with Moonlight, and like that seems like that is a business I feel fully like comfortable with being a business and also being a service and fun thing for people. I think there's I think it's like always paying attention to whether or not you really feel right about applying capitalism, and if not, then what other thing can subsidize it. It's a tricky dance though.
Other questions? Okay.
Did you ever have a normal job?
Oh my God.
2 weeks you worked for Data.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wait, let me think. Okay, I used to be a barista. That's normal. But I haven't had I haven't been like payroll at a company ever. I've wanted to. I've dreamed of it so many times. I find it kind of like a fantasy version of myself that like commutes to FIDE and like gets dressed up for work every day and like prepares like charts. But I feel like the universe, every time I've applied for those jobs, they can immediately detect that I'm weird at the interview. It's like the things I say, and like I've had job interviews where they're just like, I think you really won't be happy here, and I'm like, I just want a job. But yes, I've done different like strange, unusual. I've done unusual contracts. Yes, So no. Also, I run a service called the Decruiter, which is instead of like seeing if you qualify for a job, it's like qualify to see if you should quit your job. And I interview people about like what they would do if they weren't at their job, or like what other companies they might want to work for. So I actually like talking about the thing, like what, like the decision to work for a company or not.
I guess this happens to be kind of exactly what it is. Do you feel like you have much like drive? You have this wizard sort of school and you have this sort of corporate school. Do those cross much? Like I'm very interested in the idea of like a bizarre bureaucracy of like wizards sort of filing their spell. Like,
oh yeah, I once like had a wizard notary. That feels like asking a wizard to do a corporate-ish task is kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, I actually do. I don't know. I mean, on the wizard stuff is a little like of like a personal spirituality too, but that's just kind of that transfers over to doing business as well. Like I still feel like the same person in both contexts, if that makes sense. And I also do like to blend the two worlds. Like if a wizard like, you know, does dazzling spectacles, then like a wizard in a corporate environment would have like a magic dry erase board or something. I don't know. There's ways to blend both magic and business.
Okay, I think we're gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna say a few words, and then away into the night we'll go.
Everything you do is done at like an execution level that like the minimum level of execution you have is very high. Is there like, what is the core skill set you would
Oh,
like,
no.
Is it Photoshop? Is it
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm also really critical of other people's pranks if like it was like 90% of the way there and then they like
Didn't have the right font.
have a misaligned. Yeah, like the website margins or yeah, anyway. Though it doesn't I'm just really critical of I'm critical of the craftsmanship. My background is also, I mean, as far as normal jobs go, I actually used to be a props designer for film sets, which pays terribly, and had to figure out other things, which is why I like have so many businesses. But that was like when I was 21, but it was like really tight deadlines of making a prop that like looks like fine but it will like be documented forever. Like, so you have like 2 hours to invent an object, and like really stressful environments. Skill sets, applying logos to things is useful in like so many contexts. I also think like figuring out how to like bypass security guards. I have like lots of tricks on that. Most of the time it's just like being their friend, you know, or like just chat, they're all just people, you know, like not to view authority as non-human.
Yeah. I'm always very impressed, especially for your parody and satire. You have such a strong graphic design sense. When you
graphic design is my passion. Truly, I don't do it for money. I do it because I love it.
So these websites you have, you're so good at understanding, you know, how to emulate the type of company website, their copywriting, their font choices, their colors, so that it looks real. And I think that I see you use all these different mediums and are always really good at making the thing look like it is sincerely coming from that medium.
Yes, I do. I try to like pay attention to like what is the current trend of the internet. So a lot of the things that we've even seen now and a lot of this work on my site actually does feel like it's from like 2017. Moonlight is more modern. But you know what's kind of cool is like there's so many like I used to make sites like when I was like 19, but there's so many web builders now that can like help you make a nice site. Like I do encourage, I mean, it makes projects really real when you buy a nice domain name and like have a nice site. Card is a really good one. CARRD. .co is it's like $1.99 for the year for your site. It's like it hosts it. But yeah, I try to like make each project have its own world on the internet, and I don't connect them all. You know, it's not like when you go to one site, you're on the mailing list for another product. I try to keep all the different worlds separate.
Okay. Well, I think on that note, I want to say thank you again for spending time with us tonight and sharing stories and your philosophy and tips about this. We're going to be here afterwards, so if anyone wants to talk to you, I'm sure that I hope you will be delighted to say hello for a few more minutes. I also know that Danielle has brought a few of her actual objects. They're under the Bart Basil podium glass, and you can take a look at some of the things you've seen on the screen here. Last but not least, I want to thank again everyone else at IAA who's helped make this happen tonight. Clark, if you want to wave again. Clark is our executive director. He is happy to answer questions about what we've he is mine currently. Soon he could be yours if you're interested in volunteering. We're a young nonprofit and we are growing, and so we're interested in engaging artists about their work. We're doing two things right now. So currently our big project is the mobile light art station. We've partnered with Barco to acquire these comically impressive projectors and are projecting beautiful light art pieces in public places around the Bay. We just did a showing at the Great Wall of Oakland, and will in April, I believe April 13th, but in April we will be going to Boddicker Park, and then we'll be going to Esther's, which is in Oakland later in April. So you should check that out. And then also we run the Oakland Festival of Immersive Arts. That is a biennial. We hosted this past year, and so we're planning our 2024 festival. If you're interested in learning more about showing pieces, that is great. And also, if you're excited about supporting us in expanding our scope and just bringing more public work to the Bay, you can donate directly. We have Venmo here. You can visit our website. All of donations are tax deductible. And also, we really want to engage people who are interested in supporting us to know what they're excited about seeing us do. So we're around to talk. I think that's it. Thank you again to the Secret Alley. Anything else? You got anything?
Oh, yeah. The site, if you are curious to learn more about Secret Alley, is Zaggy's Pizza. Well, we have a slide for it.
Yeah, we can put that up
Look
later.
up the Observation Deck is the name of the arcade and Secret Alley, and you'll find the site. And also, if you all want to try Moonlight, it's sign up for like the waitlist beta test page on moonlight.world. So
Yeah, I'm signing up. We can do tarot together.
yeah, discuss your ideas for pranks and pull a card to see how it'll go.
Okay. Can I get a round of applause for Danielle before we break? Okay, everyone. That is it. That is a wrap. The bar is open. We're so looking forward to talking to you. I know that later we're going to go to the Sycamore, hopefully for drinks. And if you want to in any way help us set up by folding your chair, we would love that. Have a great night. Thank you so much.